me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine.
Welcome to Greenlight Maine for a winner's mentoring session. Here on Greenlight Maine, we are helping to grow Maine's economy one dream at a time. I'm Don Gooding with MCED, and I'll be moderating this discussion between entrepreneur and mentors, as I often do in my day job. With us in the studio is Chuck Benton of Team AR, as well as three mentors who are going to help Team AR to work through a very challenging business issues. Now, I'll be introducing the mentors in just a few minutes, but first, Chuck, congratulations on advancing to the next round of the competition here.
Thanks, Don.
All right. It's been a while since we've heard about your business, so I'm sure there have been lots of changes. We'll talk about that in a minute, but just to refresh all of our memories, we're going to show that winning pitch that you did about 6 months ago. So let's roll it. Take it away.
Thanks. I'd like to augment your reality. My company's developed a smartphone app called Boundary Viewer. Now, I'm sure you guys have all shopped for property at some point, and the first thing that you do when you get to a property is say, where are the property lines? Well, using the Boundary Viewer app, you're able to actually see that through your camera. It uses the same augmented reality technology that's used in televised football games to paint the first down line. The market for this are the approximate 1 million real estate professionals in the US. And for each real estate professional, there's probably another dozen active home buyers at any point in time. We let all these folks download the app for free, and they can actually see the property lines on a map for free. But to use augmented reality requires a subscription, $2.99 a month or $19.99 a year. And now they can actually walk property lines around the property or find that survey pin that's hidden underneath some bushes or under the snow. Now, this isn't the only app we have under development. We also have one called Utilisy. And Utilisy is for the field workers in the utility industry and allows them to see, using the same technology, where underground utilities are. Now, there's about 800,000 of those folks. But my real goal is to get this in all the folks that are driving excavators and backhoes. So now they can see what's underground before they go and dig into the ground with a trench and cause a possible disaster that's expensive and annoying. These products have been developed using technology that I developed for the US military over about 20 years of work. I formed Team Augmented Reality, or Team AR, to bring this to the general public. And so what we have is a couple of very innovative apps. Those apps are technically feasible. Scalability is there. The numbers that I'd mentioned are just for the US, but these are markets that can go global. And as I said, I'd like to augment your reality. But I'd also like you to augment my reality by selecting my team to advance in the Greenlight Maine competition.
Okay, Chuck, so looking back on that, it's hard, I know, to put all the things that you're doing into a 3-minute pitch. Was there something you wish you could have included back then?
Probably the most important thing, it's a very visual technology.
Yeah.
And if we'd been able to actually show it in action without still pictures, but instead
on a
using
video or something like that.
That's when people really get the aha.
Unfortunately, we can't do that today either. But is there a way for the audience to be able to do that?
Yeah, actually, if they go to the boundaryviewer.com website or search Boundary Viewer on YouTube,
they'll be able to see the video there.
There's a couple examples out there.
Okay, well, now it's time to introduce the mentors. But there's an exciting twist, because we know that great ideas can come from anyone, right? It's not about credentials, it's about creativity. So you're just going to know their first names until the end of the show. And so you're not going to know whether they're a successful entrepreneur or a winning coach. And then you'll just be listening to all of their good ideas. How's that sound?
Great.
So first we have Helen. Helen, thanks for being here.
It's really great to be here. I'm glad I could be a part of this, and it's nice to meet you in person.
And then we have Andrew. Andrew, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Chuck. Very interesting idea.
Yeah, you ready to ask some good questions?
I hope so.
Okay, great. And then finally, we have Angela. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, are you ready to bring all that you've got to help grow his business?
I certainly hope so.
Okay. Well, there you have it then. We have a winning entrepreneur who's got a great idea, and we have 3 people who are ready to help grow that business. So we're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the big business issue that's keeping you up at night. So we'll be back in a minute here on Greenlight Maine.
Please visit greenlightmaine.com to follow the progress of your favorite entrepreneurs and find information and resources about becoming an entrepreneur yourself.
One of the things I think that's most unique about Bernstein Shore is this drive to do what's right for clients. It is really kind of a constant mantra around here.
We have a lot of very intelligent, hardworking, thoughtful attorneys. But I think what makes us different is our creativity, our focus on results.
I think for a client, when your lawyers are willing to work really hard together, they're guaranteed to get a better solution in the end.
It doesn't take much to change your entire travel experience. It's more than a flight, it's the whole trip. Connect to your world with daily non-stop flights to Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, Charlotte, and New York City. Portland International Jetport. Way better.
Please join us to find vital information on our website at greenlightmaine.com and be a part of our vibrant community on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Together, we're building Maine's future, one dream at a time.
We're back at Greenlight Maine with a winning entrepreneur and 3 anonymous mentors, and we're all ready to dig into a challenge to growth. So, Chuck, we've seen your pitch, and I know that you're still on the cusp of getting your exciting new product out into the marketplace. So what is the business challenge that you'd like us to all talk about today?
Well, I'm bootstrapping the company myself. And
using your own resources, not anybody else's money yet.
And time is a huge resource. Now, I'm trying to decide whether to go out and do some fundraising now or put my efforts instead into continuing to gain traction, build more content for the app, and then go out and do the fundraising later.
Gotcha. That's a great question. It's one that a lot of entrepreneurs face. Traction, if you don't know investment speak, that means basically customers are buying the product. So first clarifying question over to you, Helen.
So picking up off of just the concept of traction, where are you right now? I mean, how many downloads do you have? It's a free, with your app, you can download it for free. So what's the traction that you have right now? Okay,
the app itself is complete. The content for the app, basically the property lines, I've only got most of New England and a few other states on the East Coast, a little bit of California. Okay. So I haven't done any marketing whatsoever because I don't want to have all those people in other states try and download it and then say there isn't anything there. In fact, I'm getting dinged with negative comments with people who have done that. So the whole issue really boils down to, at this point, is getting full national content. I'm in the middle of negotiation with one company that has all that content to possibly do a strategic partnership instead of there are several companies that would love to sell me that content for $150,000, $200,000.
Interesting. Andrew.
Well, I would like to continue on with that question. GSI maps, I assume what you're using are town maps in order to get the property lines. Those aren't available in our communities, are they?
Correct, and it's GIS.
GIS, right.
And it varies. The state of Maine, as an example, did a project a couple of years ago where they collected all the available data, and it's in one spot, real easy to get. And my hometown doesn't have data, but I'd say 90% of Maine is covered in that.
Okay.
You'd think California is a advanced state.
Sure.
No, they have like 70 different sources, all in different formats. So that's the real
I would
challenge.
see that the real difficulty, right, in the product itself.
Yeah. Interesting. Angela, clarifying questions?
Yeah, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And in your pitch, you mentioned having kind of 2 products. Can you talk about the difference in those? Is it, are you getting different maps to generate those 2 products? And are you pursuing one more than the other, and why?
Okay, it's 2 different business models. In the for Boundary Viewer, this is a low-cost app meant for the general public and very easy to use. The utilities, on the other hand, most of them consider their data to be proprietary to their business. Most of them use a product called ArcGIS made by a company called Esri, and they will have Esri accounts under which they maintain all their own content. And they'll have spent $50,000, $100,000 a year to maintain that. All their users will have online accounts with credentials to get access to the data.
That's a pretty different business.
For utility, I'm looking more at selling them an app at $100, $200 a pop per seat. But this allows that utility field worker to access that proprietary database. So I sell them the app once. I don't provide the content. I never actually see the content. I've chosen Boundary Viewer because it's a much simpler business model, and it's something that if I can hit that critical mass and it goes viral, then bam, we're done, and it's golden. Whereas the utility product, I think, has a longer lead time and a little more marketing effort to get out there.
Wow. Lot of complexity in your business. Helen.
So moving beyond just describing the product and kind of where you are with that, I mean, what are your next steps? What are you, in terms of the funding that you may need if you're going to go out and do a round of fundraising? Where do you see those funds going? Do you need to hire more people? What are the costs?
My first priority is to finish getting all the content squared away.
Okay.
Hopefully
All
that'll be a short process by partnering with another company. The alternative is I may just have to use funds to go out and buy the content.
Okay.
Then from there, it'd always be wonderful to have some more engineering staff, but that's not a key priority at this point.
Okay.
But having the product rollout, constrained or not by cash, is another issue. Being able to advertise in realtor-type magazines, that sort of stuff, that would enable all of that.
Andrew, a couple more questions.
A couple of questions about the product itself. In Maine, there's it's called DigSafe, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah.
How are you handling the liability aspects, particularly of the utility? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Because if you're giving that to contractors, wouldn't they still need to have this step of getting the DigSafe through the utilities themselves, through, say, Unitil or the electric companies? Would that supersede that?
And one of the things that on Boundary Viewer, and I haven't released utility yet, but on Boundary Viewer, right at the outset, every time you log in, it tells you this does not replace a survey. And I really stress that you're paying $3 a month for this.
Right.
You get what you pay for.
You get an idea about it, but it needs to be confirmed.
It gives you a notional idea that something is here.
Right.
And the content varies city to city. Brunswick, Maine, it's right on the money. Topsom, right across the river, it's notional. It means there's a sewer line somewhere within 150 feet of here.
Very interesting. Well, I think now that we've had some time to talk about this very complicated business you have, I want to go over to the mentors here and get your first thoughts about this issue, which is, should Chuck go out and try to get investment now or keep trying to build the business?
So I guess my initial thoughts are make sure that you have a concrete business plan. If you're going to focus on one, you've got 2 different business models. So, identify which model you really want to focus on, or if you're going to focus on them simultaneously, fine. But then you need to identify what your overall need for capital is, And my initial gut reaction is, bootstrap as long as you can until you absolutely need to take in.
Andrew.
No, the first thought is I think it could be a very valuable tool. I really do. I think the component of it is a first shot to when people see the property, and I could see that being valuable.
Okay, Angela.
So I agree a lot with what Helen said. I think focus is key, so picking one and really focusing on that. I agree. I think try to bootstrap as long as you can. And really, if you haven't talked to your potential customers yet, those realtors, figure out how big that market really is. I'm concerned about urban areas and people who kind of wouldn't need to know property lines.
Okay. Well, we've heard from our anonymous mentors. What are your thoughts about how to address this challenge? Feel free to share those on Twitter at #GreenlightMaine or on our Facebook page. And we'll be back after a short break with our entrepreneurs' reaction to these ideas here on Greenlight Maine.
We help businesses increase sales. We help increase sales by providing business owners, chief executives, and marketing managers with effective advertising strategies and marketing campaigns. We help businesses increase sales by providing practical advice and tactical plans that are meaningful and measurable. We can help your business increase sales. Find out how at SutherlandWeston.com.
Hi, Ross here for Dysart's Restaurant. Everyone's having meetings about this, meetings about that, meeting about meetings. How ridiculous is that? Got a meeting? Meet at Dysart's Broadway. Look at my chart. Dysart's Broadway's got 3 meeting rooms. A big one, a bigger one, and an even bigger one. And the big one and the bigger one can combine to be even bigger than the even bigger one. How ridiculous is that?
Great food, great service, and a great place for your meeting. Dysart's Broadway.
Big and bigger's bigger than even bigger.
Dysarts.com.
Ridiculous.
I'm not thinking about health insurance all the time, but when I do, I know that Community Health Options is there for us. Whether we're getting a checkup, a test at the lab, or we're in the hospital, Community Health Options is there every step of the way. They'll help you get the most of your prescription benefits and manage any ongoing conditions, so you can think about other things.
Member-centered Community Health Options. Sign up or re-enroll for 2016 at healthoptions.org.
If any of you in our television audience has a big idea, we encourage you to visit greenlightmaine.com for a list of resources and information about starting your own business.
Welcome back to Greenlight Maine. We've heard about our Entrepreneurs Business Challenge, and we've heard some great ideas from our panel of anonymous mentors. So, Chuck, you heard a lot of ideas. What would you like to focus on for our final discussion here?
Well, to answer some of your questions, my focus is entirely on Boundary Viewer at the moment. Utility is on the back burner, so to speak. You'd ask questions about market size, and one of the attractive things about the Boundary Viewer market is that the realtor market is really easily defined. There's one organization, Realtor, and you go to realtor.com. They have all the information. It's an easy one to reach with advertising, so forth and so on. Also on having talked to realtors, I've had realtors use this, talked to a lot of them. Generally, especially in a spot like Maine, there's huge positive response. For other areas such as Manhattan or subdivisions, there's not really going to be a need for that market.
So if that's your focus, even within that space, though, there's a lot of different ways to go at it. So maybe any ideas about where Chuck ought to be focusing since he can't cover the entire U.S. right now? Some thoughts?
So coming back to your initial question, which is, do I keep bootstrapping or raise capital? I think now that you've sort of identified where your story is, start to focus in on that. Maybe you don't want to start raising a capital right now, but at least start building those relationships. So we've got Maine Angels here. There are various professional firms, law firms, accounting firms who can help start talking you through the things that you're going to need to have in place when you go out and present that focused business idea.
Okay. Any other thoughts about the focus that Chuck ought to be having?
I agree. I think as you focus, it's going to get a lot easier to raise that capital. And if you can start to build that critical mass by finishing this product, you'll be able to walk into an investor and say, I have X number of users. It's been very positive. This is why you should invest in me.
And An idea I had during the break is, right now you're trying to do one app, and you've got this geographic challenge. I'm wondering whether you've considered having, let's say, AR for the Northeast, because you could actually do a separate separate apps for different geographies, and therefore get around the problem that people have this expectation that it's actually going to work where it doesn't.
I had looked at that, and I actually did an email campaign for the New England region, and the response rate was very low, and I discovered that's just part of email. And using things like Google AdWords and whatnot, you can't really segregate areas. You end up, it's an all or nothing proposition.
Okay, well, guess what? It's time for the reveal. We're going to be able to have the anonymous mentors talk about who they actually are. So, Helen?
My full name is Helen Sterling Coburn. I'm an attorney at Bernstein Shore, where I work with companies in all stages of development, primarily to help them raise capital.
To raise capital. And thank you very much, Bernstein Shore, for being a great sponsor of Greenlight Maine.
I'm Andrew Ingalls. I'm a real estate broker for CBRE, the Bowlers Company in Portland, and that's the reason I'm more interested in the content component of it, because I could see myself using the product.
Very interesting. So potential customer there. And
I'm Angela Marcolini, and I work at the University of Maine's Foster Center for Student Innovation, and we coach companies through all stages of the process, so from a fledgling idea all the way through development.
Yeah, so cool. as often is the case here in Maine, we've got lots of resources to help you try to grow your business. So hopefully these discussions that we've started here in Greenlight Maine will continue on.
Perfect.
All right, great. So now that we know the identities of our three mentors, it's time to take a short break, and we'll be back for some final thoughts here on Greenlight Maine.
As a leader in Maine and New England in providing integrated accounting, consulting, and tax services to clients large and small, the team at MacPage has proven to provide innovative solutions to help us better meet our clients' needs. We enjoy the people we serve and care about the work we do. The success of our business is based upon our ability to develop quality relationships, one client at a time. MacPage. Accessible, approachable, accountable.
One of the things I think that's most unique about Bernstein Shore is this drive to do what's right for clients. It is really kind of a constant mantra around here.
We have a lot of very intelligent, hardworking, thoughtful attorneys. But I think what makes us different is our creativity, our focus on results.
I think for a client, when your lawyers are willing to work really hard together, they're guaranteed to get a better solution in the end.
Please visit greenlightmaine.com to follow the progress of your favorite entrepreneurs and find information and resources about becoming an entrepreneur yourself.
We're back for some final thoughts here on Greenlight Maine, and I want to start by thanking the three mentors who have come on the show, because mentors are such an important resource for entrepreneurs who are trying to grow their business. So in 20 seconds or so, Helen, some final thoughts for Chuck here?
Yeah, so I would say as you continue to develop your product, also work on really distilling a very succinct story that you can go out and tell investors, and use that story, practice in the Maine community. There's a huge drive to support entrepreneurs. Go out and practice that story to get you ready to go out and raise capital.
Like through Top Gun. Andrew.
Like I said earlier, the content to me is very, very important. And you talked about it earlier, that make sure that the product is fine-tuned for a national display before it goes out to market, so that you don't have negative feedback, and you can really attack the whole market at once.
Angela.
So I think it's really cool. My advice would be start small and focus before you go big. Look at New England, make a success story out of this, and then that will be your case. Your case will speak for itself when you finally go for investment.
Great final thoughts. So, Chuck, you've heard a lot from our three mentors and this overall discussion. As you think about everything that you've heard, some single takeaway that you're going to be going out to do going forward?
It confirms that continuing to bootstrap is the right thing. Taking another look at scoping back to New England and how to market just the area is something I'm going to look at again. And then lastly, there's the networking process. And actually, thank you, Greenlight Maine, because this has been a wonderful experience. Right? And it's helped me focus, helped me build the story. So yeah, it's.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's great that we've been able to do this as a community for you, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. Have you been seeing, have people come up to you and say, hey, I saw you on TV?
Happened to be in the supermarket just a couple days ago.
That's really awesome. Well, I think it just shows that people in Maine are very excited to see potential successes coming out. So we wish you the very best for the future of your business and the best in the next stages of the Greenlight Maine competition. Which reminds me, speaking of which, please watch our Facebook page and greenlightmaine.com for announcements about the rest of the competition. We're going to have a live event to narrow down our 13 competitors to 2, followed by the final 2 weeks of our online competition where you, the audience, can help pick a wild card. And finally, a televised championship event where one of those 3 companies will walk away with $100,000. We'll also let you know when we'll start accepting video pitches for next year's competition. And remember, if you want to start your own business, greenlightmaine.com has lots of resources for you. So keep thinking big and keep the positive feedback coming, especially for the companies that you see on the show. You can see it makes a difference because together, the Greenlight Maine community is helping to grow Maine's economy one dream at a time.
Tonight's Greenlight Maine is sponsored by Bernstein Shore, celebrating 100 years. Greenlight Maine would not be possible without the support of all of our corporate sponsors. Thank you. Prize money for Greenlight Maine provided by Maine Accelerates Growth through a grant by the Maine Community Foundation. Outreach and community engagement in partnership with Maine Startup and Create Week. Furniture for Greenlight Maine provided by Thomas Mosier. Handmade carpets for Greenlight Maine provided by Mugalian Rugs. Broadcast facilities provided by the New England School of Communications at Husson University.
Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light.